Cynthia. So you just said something very interesting, right? Now, when the framers of the Constitution, preamble, all that, put it in there, they were very ambiguous with their wordage.
Of course.
All men are created equal. Now, within those lines, they
did not consider black
men.
Yes.
And they didn't consider. Here's the thing, ladies. They didn't consider women much of anything more than just property either. So what you have to read between the lines is what you have to read between the lines means white land-owning males, right? So fast forward to the Reconstruction era after the Civil War, right? Now we have to wait. We got this entire population of people that we had enslaved. What are we gonna do with them?
Yep.
How are we gonna manage them? Because we're not gonna let them just be regular citizens anymore. Because they weren't. We thought of them as they were 2/3 of a man. You know, that was on my. I could package 10 of them in a thing and go to the bank and get a bond or a note and have that traded internationally. I could have human souls traded internationally as a bond.
So that's why. That's why I find the argument currently with politicians about criminal justice reform. What is criminal justice reform? What are we talking about?
There is
bail reform, getting rid of minimum sentencing laws.
Mandatory minimums, mandatory minimums.
No, go ahead.
No, you were right.
No, you got
well, that's because where I work,
right?
Yeah,
so you work
but
with
I don't work with that
particular thing. But
team,
you know this stuff.
But yeah, they do. I mean, that's there's a lot of initiatives like Clean Slate Initiative is an organization that tries to wipe out records of people with minor charges. Then you have, I don't actually know what they're doing for bail reform. Stephanie, do you know what bail reform?
In the state of Virginia, I do not know what they're doing. I'm sorry, in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Make sure because let me tell you something.
Because they're going to get their money.
Because let me tell you something. You do something in the Commonwealth of Virginia that you do in the state of Maryland is going to be completely different. Now, of course,
absolutely.
But guess what?
Yes,
go one more state up to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and surprisingly enough, or go over to the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Surprisingly enough, that shit will seem very similar, and the ways that they can treat you are very similar. There's a whole difference between states and commonwealths.
So you got Keith, you got some stats over there that I want to read on because I kind of want to get back to the whole single parent household situation. All right, because I find that very interesting because I mean, I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I feel having a male in around you. It does help. You know what I mean? Yeah. My pops was there, but my brother really was my father. Right. You know what I mean? He showed me the ropes, and but when my mom got tired of whipping my butt because I wouldn't straighten up, all she had to do was just give my dad the look, and he don't say nothing. He don't say nothing.
Ass. It was like
he don't
ninja.
say nothing. He
No.
don't say nothing. He coming at me.
Yeah.
He coming at me.
Because guess what?
So you know what? It's so funny, right? When I went to high school, right? And I grew up I went to high school with Dave, Keith, Haran, Tanya. We all went to the same high school.
I was around.
Well, yeah, you went to Stewart. You went to Stewart.
You went to the Bail.
The mighty.
So we all grew up in the kind of the same.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, my neighborhood, Jefferson Village. We had gangs in there, right?
Of course.
We even had a jail in our neighborhood. Like there was not a jail, but they had a
holding facility.
Like a
substation.
Right. They had a police substation.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what, we all had the same amount of friends. We all kind of hung around the same thing. But the respect that I had with my peers was when they were ready to go do dirt, they'd be like, "Hey, Pat,
you got to go.
You got to go.
We'll holler at you later." And you know why? And you know why? Because from the jump, I told everybody I messed with,
I'm not about that.
I ain't about that, for one, right? But I also feared my parents more than I feared the criminal justice system.
Word.
Because my parents were straight up old school.
I think it was our first episode when I said, I want my kids like a healthy amount of fear and respect, because when they make that decision, because everything's a decision, even relationships, Pat, when they make that decision, I want them to have this one factor in their mind. If I do this, don't worry about the police, because if it gets that point, there's only so much I can do anyways, and I'm gonna have to come out the pocket and everything else. But I want you to have if I do this, is my dad going to put his foot so far up my ass? The only thing I will taste is the water from his knee.
So Tony, what would you tell? You got kids, man?
No, I don't.
What would you tell if you had kids right now? What would you tell your kids?
I would tell my kids to look at your friends that you hang around with.
Damn.
Take a good look at them.
Damn, that was good,
and just
brother.
think like 10 to 15 years from now, are you still going to be?
Say that again. Say that whole
really good.
phrase again.
Yeah. If I had kids right now, I would definitely tell them just take a good look at your friends.
Yes,
a real
indeed.
hard look, and just think, are they going to be your friends 10 to 15 years from now, or what's going to happen? Because I grew up with a circle of friends, and it seems like now it's like I'm all alone.
That's a good place to be, though, bro.
Yeah,
Pat, stop with your lone wolf.
I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. And I'll let you do your point, but I'm telling you right now. For me, what keeps me grounded is that I'm not afraid to lose every single soul that I have.
Boom.
I'm not afraid of being alone.
There's only 3 other
I
souls.
will say to you what my mom said to me when she's gone. She said, "You'll be crying where no one can see you." And that's what I'm going to say to you.
Say that again.
When I leave you, you'll be crying where no one can see you.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I came into this world alone. I'm gonna leave alone.
You'll miss some of us, is all I'm saying.
I'm not leaving, so it's okay.
But that wasn't going to be my point. My point was going to be to take this in a little different direction, because we've all acknowledged the institutionalized issues with racism, policing, all that stuff. But then what about, again, going back to media and who these kids' friends are in the media and what they're seeing as cool, and this whole culture of like, we got to go out and get these expensive things, so now we have to sell drugs because we got to get these cool things because all these people on TikTok have the cool things.
Well, look at your new rappers.
I understand. All right, Dave just brought up a real
and
good point.
Cardi B, God love her, but her and her like, oh, well, I just we used to steal all this money from men and all this stuff, and she had
cool.
to. And I get it, but it's glorified, it's cool, everything's aggressive, like.
So Keith and I had a interesting talk a couple episodes ago when we were going to lunch, right? And we were talking about there was a record exec that had he was on stage talking about something. He said, talking to another record exec, and he said, well, would you put on a Jewish rapper who was talking about, killing people? He's like, nah. He's like, would you put on a Hispanic artist that was talking about raping and pillaging and destroying his own neighborhood and disrespecting his women? He's like, nah. And then he said, would you put on a black rapper who was talking about raping, killing, snorting, doing
Destroying
drugs?
his community.
And the record exec's answer was, it depends. It depends on who he's rapping to.
So, translation, it depends on my profitability off of his.
So he said he would be okay if he was talking about raping, killing, selling drugs to his own people, not to other races.
Hey,
so that's why I said
deep.
it's
true.
It's about what you look, man. We were just coming from breakfast, Haran, Patricia, and Stephanie. We went to, and I was in the car, and we just listening to Shade 45, and I'm like, all I'm hearing is, do this, bang this, boom, boom. I'm like, dude, it is way too early for all this.
Beat it up, shoot it up.
I'm
smack
like,
it up.
it's way too early
And
in the morning for all this
I love
nonsense.
music and I love artistic expression. I don't think I'm completely against censorship, but I'm just saying, you've got no parent, then you've got who's your parent now. You know what I mean? It's the media.
This thing we're talking into.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. And so then that's an issue too, and
Like,
it's like, how do we fix the root, and then how do we fix what
It was old.
what criminal justice system does to try to rehabilitate.
Isn't it?
That's a big
Your
part.
media.
It's about programming. It's about programming, right? These kids are being programmed.
They are programmed already.
You know, they're being programmed. So how do we stop them from being programmed?
And it's true. Look. As a girl who wants to go through 4 years of school so you can come out making $60,000 when you can strip when you're young,
Only
right?
feet.
100,000.
Hey! Let's not talk about OF. Only feet on here.
But it is true because, and then also like you know, with the exception of some people who save money, whatever. But you know that cash in your hand in those sorts of jobs or like dealing
Easy
drugs.
cash is
when
cash that leaves you easily.
Yeah, but
as
when you're
well.
19 and someone gives you $400, that's like so much money in your eyes. But it's not.
It ain't nothing.
But it's like really hard to say, well, you can go work for $15 an hour when I just made $400 selling.
So let's serve some
Coke,
purpose here,
whatever.
because you know on our podcast right here, we're all about serving purpose, right? So serving purpose is to me. So we figure out, okay, so if there are young people listening to this podcast,
Let's hope so.
right? Like what would we say to them to drive them to not do some of the things? And I'll start off for me. You know, I'll tell you how I stayed out of trouble, because it doesn't mean that I was running a squeaky clean life.
No.
It just means that I have not gotten caught with my nonsense, right?
Right.
So the reason why I run a squeaky clean life right now is because I know there's some dumb shit that I did back in my young days,
Back
that
in
I
the
could-
backsliding
that
days.
could with karma come back and catch me. So
back
that's
to
why.
haunt you.
So that's why I'm squeaky clean. You know, I avoid the police in every situation that I can. You know what I mean? But I'll tell you where I can serve purpose, and I can tell you how I did it, and what would help me to avoid the criminal justice system is that. And going back to what Patricia said, I was a loner. I was a loner. I did not do things just to belong.
Right.
I didn't join a gang.
Right.
X-Ray Crew was in my neighborhood. I didn't. I saw them. They were the shit back in my day. But I did not feel like I needed to join a organization or a group of friends to belong.
Right.
But you're an exception to that.
No, not really.
But I'm just saying that if you want, let's serve some purpose, right? We'll go around the room and we'll serve some purpose. But I will tell you my way of serving purpose for some of these young people is individuality, is understanding that it is okay to think that you are different. It is okay to feel different, all right? It is okay to say, I'm not like X, Y, and Z.
Right.
I'm different from X, Y, and Z. And that's why I'm going to roll with myself. You have to have the self-love in yourself to understand that you don't have to roll with somebody to belong.
I'm better than that.
You know? It ain't even feeling, to me, it's not even about
No,
being better than that.
It's not being better than another person. I'm better than putting myself in a situation where
You don't put yourself into situations that, will cause you harm, And Stephanie and I, we were talking about a situation, and what I told her is that I have the emotional intelligence, and I'm going to say that again. I have the emotional intelligence to not make a decision that is going to cause me harm. And because of the situation that we were
did you
talking
always
about,
have that?
no, I had the individuality.
Okay. So you had one strength in the earlier in life.
Yes.
And it helped you develop another strength.
Yes.
Okay.
I had the individual, and everybody that know me, Dave know me. Yeah, he know. I didn't feel like I needed to belong.
Right.
I roamed the streets, the halls in my high school by my damn self.
Right.
I was rocking my Suzuki Samurai back in high school because why? I ain't sell drugs. I went to work.
Right.
I worked at a movie theater.
Right.
Y'all all got free tickets from me at some point.
Hold up, Pat. Don't be,
Everybody got free tickets from me at some point.
At some point. I
So
remember
that's
you
my
always had a hustler's mentality
Yeah.
minus the need to make
I
your hustle
agree.
bigger.
I agree with that.
So that's why I'm saying is that we're going to close this podcast out here in a little bit, but let's serve some purpose, right? We're going to go around the room. We'll serve some purpose. My purpose is to the listeners is individuality and have the emotional intelligence not to make dumb decisions. Stephanie.
I think my purpose and my advice would be stop cutting corners. Most people find themselves incarcerated because they are cutting corners to get to an immediate result of what they want. Instead of taking the right path and taking the left turn, go up the street, the right turn, taking the longer path to get to what they want.
Don't bust a U. Don't bust a U.
Yeah, don't cut corners. And here's what I will tell you, that my grand total of time that I have spent inside, if I had to add up every day together collectively, it's 18 months. Did I serve 18 months all at one time? No. But if I had to add up all those days, it's 18 months. How much of that time did I actually get sentenced to versus how much time I spend in there? 30 days. So I was only actually sentenced to 30 days compared to the entire 18 months that I spent there. But something interesting happened the last time I had to spend any time in there. And I was just talking to Pat about this not that long ago. So I was a trustee. I had to do jail laundry. Everybody went out for rec that day, and it was like 90 degrees, and 90 degrees in a
laundromat.
Outside for rec. 90 degrees outside in a concrete box with a gate over top of you, over top of your head.
120,
and 100 girls is hot. You're not. So I'm like, I'm not going outside. You guys are leaving me alone in the laundry room. I can get some peace and quiet. You're not left alone very often in jail. So I was like, no, I'm going to stay in here and bust out the laundry by myself. I decided I am not a religious person. I'm very spiritual, but I'm not a religious person. And this girl who was in the laundry with me, she had her Bible. And I decided to just, I watched a bunch of people just kind of walk over and pick up the Bible and open to a random page, and whatever they read is like the message that's supposed to be for them, right? Like that's the theory. So I'm like, fuck it, why not? So I open up the Bible, and it's
with the Bible.
Yeah, and it's somewhere, I land somewhere in Psalms. And I can't remember exactly what the passage was, but I remember the gist of it because it was direct. It literally was for me in that moment. And it said that you shall not commit a crime against your fellow man and have it go unnoticed without having to pay for it 3 times over by physical manual labor.
Haran, you want to help her out there? What's that word? What's that word? Starts with a K.
Karma.
So yeah, I realize that. Yeah. So as I'm sitting there, it dawns on me. The 18 months that I spent in there was not for what I was sitting in there for. It was for everything that I had never been caught for. And there was a lot. There was a lot of things that I had never been caught for. And I think that's when my whole entire thinking shifted. I had been to drug rehab. I had been to drug court. I had taken all the programs. I had learned about stinking thinking. I had learned about all that shit. It wasn't until I read that passage, and again, I'm not a religious person, but it made sense to me in that moment. I am sitting here sweating, doing nasty ass jail laundry for the men in the jail. And y'all are disgusting for the men in the jail. And I'm thinking to myself, this right here is what I need to do. This is what I need to do to pay back for everything that I was not caught for. I never went back again after that.
Nice. Tanya.
Okay, so I think that, like you said, everything has a purpose. And I believe what Tony said. Everybody wants to belong to something. But I think that a lot of people are missing the mark because they're not planning for their purpose. They don't, 1, know what their purpose is. 2, they're not planning for their purpose. Anything that you want to get to, you have to plan to do it. Like when I finally decided to really, really go back to school in 2008, I had a plan. My plan was to make sure I graduated college before my daughter graduated high school because I didn't want to tell her, you have to do this, and I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? So my plan was I was going to, and it was hard, but I did it. And once I got my rhythm, I was like, I'm going to go back to school. And then I decided to go back to school again. So I have 3 degrees because I had a plan and a purpose to get to where I'm at now. So always have a purpose and always put a plan together for your purpose. Even if you miss some steps, you still know the kind of like what direction you want to go. And you might need help. And if you need help, ask for it.
Dave.
Me, I'll make mine short and quick. As far as me, my kids and people I hang with, I just tell them don't be followers.
Thank you.
Be a leader.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. Keith?
Hey, not exactly sure about the purpose, but I do know, I'm going to piggyback off something what you said. I know that for me, finding out that I wasn't that awkward, different brother that was a goofball because I wasn't getting in trouble and that stuff. No, I was just afraid to get my ass handed to me at home, right? So I guess charity started. What's that? Charity starts at home. Everything starts at home.
Everything.
So my biggest thing is to make sure if I got my home straight, then I've pretty much done my job for that, and hopefully that carries out into other parts of my world and other parts of my life, into other people's worlds, other people's lives.
Tony, your story, man. I'm gonna tell you, man. I don't know if we were able to give you a platform to air out some of the things that you wanted to air out, and I'll tell you, I'm gonna give you this platform right now, right here and there. If there's anything that you just need to just tell the universe, not anybody in particular, but if you just need to tell the universe for your own help,
Edification. For your own edification.
I'm going to give you this platform right now to be able to, and I thank you for coming on and sharing your. I thank everybody that came on and shared their thoughts. But I'm gonna give you this platform right now and this safe space that if you need to get anything out, because we were throwing a lot of questions at you. And we interrupted you a ton because that's just what we do. But platform's yours, bro.
Yeah, I would say something I wish I would have done at a very early age is get involved with your community. I believe getting involved with your community at an early age, I'm going to say like teenager, getting involved in your community, you'll become a leader in your community by doing that. And that's something that I wish now I'm actually starting to do now, get involved in my community. But it's also something that I wish I would have done many, many years ago, because I believe helping people and getting involved in your community definitely helps you grow character. And it'll help you be a leader, and people want to follow you, and that's something positive. Even if you lived a negative lifestyle, you can still be a positive person by helping out your community.
Yes, sir. Amen.
I'll second that. Dave, go ahead.
Can I say something on that? Well, most of these people know that, and from where we're from, my neighborhood, I'm the president of the Falls Church Committee, and every year, and I like what you said, get back with your community.
Yes.
Every year we throw a
reunion,
right. Falls Church reunion. Everything free, live entertainment. You got church. We break it all the way down.
We got from the streets to the church.
But what I'm saying is, I love giving back to my community.
You do a good job.
Yeah, it's a good feeling.
I love it. It's a great feeling.
When you
feeling. We've been doing it for 9 years now. They trying to take it away from us, but they can't.
They can't,
because we never had a problem, never had an argument, never had a fight, never had nothing. It's all
love.
It's love. All love. It's all love.
All love. And I want to see y'all out there this
year.
Yeah,
I was there with that guy.
Actually, when it was at James Lee last time.
Yeah, remember I left. I left.
You left because we had just done the podcast, and
I showed up there late, but I was late. But
I was there. By the time I got home, man, I was like, man, I ain't coming out, man.
Hey, bro, I'm gonna tell you like this, man. The place is packed. It's a lot of people, and it's all love.
I was smoked.
The food got love in it. You understand me?
Haran,
I say you really got to think about your future, because before you know it, being 30 years old will come real quick. Quick. 40 years old will come even quicker, and 50 will be even faster.
That thing will knock you out.
So you make sure you have your shit together. Stop chasing that quick money, because chasing that quick money can get you in trouble. It can get you locked up. I mean, because you're always thinking about that quick money, right? You're going to do whatever it takes to get that $1,000 so you could buy your flashy stuff or whatever you want to do. Stop chasing that. Think about your future and just think about that end game, because I know a lot of people would love to retire at 50 years old, and it could be done. It could be done, but it can't be done if you're chasing that quick money, because it will get you locked up or it will get you in trouble.
Patricia,
you kind of stole mine, Haran, because I've been very, very lucky. I haven't had any law run-ins, even though I used to shoplift lipstick from the CVS. Sorry, CVS.
What's that, Ruby?
Come to us and confess your crimes.
As she sits with Revlon lipstick
Exactly,
right
yeah,
in front of her.
I paid for this one. Although,
Are you sure, KK?
Listen, the only reason can I tell you guys the only reason I'm above it now is because of all the cameras. You know what I'm saying? No. All kidding aside, I think, when you're young, you feel like you have nothing to lose, right? And there's a reason why corner boys are young, right? Because they're going to be underage, they're not going to do the time, and people can use you for that. But also, like, you're using yourself when you do bad things like that, and you're putting what you have to lose is your future. You have nothing to lose in that moment necessarily, because you probably get off if you're 12, 13, 15 even. Not always.
But you don't, when you're 13 and 12, that will affect you until you're 50.
Yeah.
We've been doing this podcast for a little bit now, and one constant theory that keeps coming back around is we do not realize the level of things from your childhood, and your childhood goes from time to walk until time you're on your own, 18, 19. I talk about it because from that until I was in the military time, you don't realize how much every little thing affects you until you get into your 30s, 40s, and 50s, and you have that emotional intelligence, and you can realize, man,
why did I do that?
That shit really affected the shit.
And be careful who you think is cool, right? Like, be careful who you look up to.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Be careful who you think is cool.
Listen, guys.
Amen.
I want to thank all of our guests that joined us today. Dollar Day.
Yes.
What up, cuz?
What it do?
Tony bringing his story to us. I definitely appreciate you, brother.
Both of y'all.
I hope this podcast today shed a light for people that are running the streets doing what they do. Let me tell you something, man. There's only two. When you run the streets and you doing dirt, there's only two ways you get out of it: jail or dead.
That's it.
Period. There's only two. There's only two ways, right? And if you were able to go to jail, experience something that Tony experienced, and then come out of the other side. Look, we had a podcast not just like 2 weeks ago that we had a husband and wife that got into just I don't know
outside
how
of marriage.
I don't know how that story is just crazy, but I don't know how they made it through that. And what we want to do here at Real Energy Podcast is, like I said, we want to serve some purpose. So we brought along a young man that was misguided in his younger days, but was able to but he went to jail. But on the other side of that, found redemption. You would say that, right?
Yeah, I would say that. Absolutely. Yes.
I love it.
So don't think that because you were caught up into that situation that there is not an out. There's always an out. You just have to be able to have that purpose about your life to find that out. All right. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Real Energy Podcast. Don't forget to listen to us on where you get all your podcasts. Check out our YouTube channel at Real Energy. Yes, Real Energy Podcast. You can see how we interact with each other. If you want to tell your story, just send us an email at realenergypodcast@gmail.com. We would love to have you on a guest on our show. Peace.
Love, peace.